The black SUV screeched to a halt in the underground parking garage of Westbrook Security Solutions. Three masked men dragged Eleanor Westbrook from the back seat, pressing a gun to her temple. 25 million or she dies, one growled. Nobody noticed the security guard nearby. Nobody ever did, until his flashlight clattered to the floor, and in three fluid movements, the kidnappers lay unconscious. Eleanor stared at this nobody who moved like a predator. When a forgotten hero saves a powerful CEO, two broken souls discover that true strength lies in vulnerability, not power. This is their story. Michael Sullivan was a man deliberately designed to be overlooked. Broad-shouldered with calloused hands and tired eyes that missed nothing, he wore his faded security uniform like camouflage. At 38, the lines around his eyes spoke of burdens heavier than the security badge he carried through Westbrook Security Solutions' gleaming hallways in downtown Boston. Each night, he checked the locks twice, scanned the street before entering their apartment, and kept a tactical knife within reach at all times. Habits from another life. 8 years in SEAL Team 6 had left him with nightmares he carefully hid from Lily, his 7-year-old daughter. The dreams always began the same way. The scorching heat of Beirut in 2017. The embassy extraction gone wrong. 28 hostages saved, but 2 brothers in arms lost. Their faces visited him in the darkest hours, asking why he made it home when they didn't. He would wake drenched in sweat, reaching for a weapon that wasn't there before remembering where and who he was now. After losing his wife, Catherine Kate, to everyone who loved her to leukemia 3 years ago, he had abandoned his military career for the invisibility of regular work. His sole focus was creating stability for Lily, even if it meant being overlooked by everyone else. "Daddy, the stars are different tonight," Lily said one evening as they sat on their small apartment balcony. Her science book lay open on her lap, the constellations illustrated in bright colors against black pages. "How so, sweetheart?" Michael asked, his voice gentler than anyone at Westbrook would recognize. "They're telling different stories." Her small finger traced Orion's belt. "Mrs. Rodriguez says stars are like history books in the sky. The light we see started traveling before we were born." Michael smiled. Lily had inherited Kate's curiosity and his own quiet intensity, a dangerous combination that made his heart ache with pride and fear. "That's right. Some of that light began its journey when President Eisenhower was in office." "From your history books?" Lily asked, pointing to his worn collection of presidential biographies. "Exactly." He didn't tell her that Eisenhower's military leadership strategies had once guided him through impossible missions in places he couldn't name. Some stories weren't meant for 7-year-olds, no matter how bright. In the apartment next door, Sarah Turner, their 68-year-old neighbor, prepared for her evening routine of watching Lily when Michael worked night shifts. The widow of a Vietnam veteran, she recognized the shadows behind Michael's eyes, the same ones her herald had carried until his passing 5 years ago. "You've got that look again," Sarah said when Michael dropped off Lily later that evening. "The one that says you're seeing ghosts." Michael's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Just tired, Mrs. T." "Mm-hmm." She didn't push. That wasn't their arrangement. "The little miss and I will be fine. We're making star charts tonight." "Thank you," Michael said, the words carrying the weight of gratitude beyond childcare. Sarah nodded. "Harold always said the hardest mission is coming home. Give it time, son." Across town in a penthouse overlooking Boston Harbor, Eleanor Westbrook stood by floor-to-ceiling windows, the city lights reflecting in her copper hair. At 35, she commanded Westbrook Security Solutions with impeccable precision, her tailored suit's armor against a world she kept at calculated distance. The Wall Street Journal had recently named her among the 50 most influential women in technology. The Boston Business Chronicle called her the Ice Queen of cybersecurity. Both titles amused her. People rarely looked beyond the surface, beyond the company she'd built from nothing into a powerhouse that protected Pentagon data and major financial institutions. Orphaned at 12 when her parents died in a car accident, Eleanor had cycled through foster homes and group facilities, finding stability only in the unchanging logic of computer code. While other teens sought connection, she built firewalls. By 17, she had hacked and secured her first government system, earning both a scholarship and FBI attention. By 25, she had founded Westbrook Solutions. By 30, she had government contracts worth billions. Tonight, she reviewed the final details for the Defense Department contract presentation scheduled for next week. a system to protect military bases and critical infrastructure from emerging cyber threats. The culmination of 3 years' work. Her assistant had left dinner untouched as usual. On her desk sat a rare first edition of At Ease Stories I Tell to Friends by Dwight D. Eisenhower, a recent acquisition for her collection of presidential memoirs and military histories. Books were her one indulgence. They had been her only companions in the group homes of her youth. The penthouse was pristinely empty of personal touches beyond the books. No family photos, no sentimental items, just clean lines, valuable art selected by her decorator, and a Steinway grand piano she had never learned to play. Her phone chimed with a message from Thomas Maxwell, her director of security. Another threat detected, more specific this time. We should discuss tomorrow. Eleanor dismissed it with a mental wave. Industrial espionage and threats were constant in her world. Increased security if necessary, but she wouldn't be canceling the Defense Department meeting. Her voice, even in her thoughts, carried the certainty of someone who had never been proven wrong. She checked her watch, nearly midnight. Time to head home to an empty penthouse. The executive parking garage was deserted except for her driver waiting patiently by the black sedan. Eleanor's heels echoed against concrete as she approached mine, already on tomorrow's meetings. She barely noticed when the lights flickered overhead, dismissing it as routine maintenance. "Good evening, Ms. Westbrook," her driver said, opening the rear door. As Eleanor slid into the back seat, she registered something wrong, a scent that shouldn't be there. Before she could react, a cloth pressed against her face. She struggled, fingernails scraping leather, but darkness quickly claimed her consciousness. She awakened disoriented, still in the garage, now surrounded by three masked figures. Her driver stood outside the vehicle, phone to his ear, face pale with terror. "Your company has 6 hours to transfer $25 million to this account," the leader told her driver through the car's window, "or your boss won't survive the night." Eleanor's mind cleared rapidly, assessing the situation with the same analytical precision she applied to business decisions. 3 men armed, professional, not common criminals. They knew her schedule had neutralized her security, her chances of survival diminishing by the second. Michael, checking the perimeter cameras on his security rounds, recognized the tactical positioning of the kidnappers immediately. Military training, possibly private contractors. His mind calculated angles, distances, threat levels. An automatic assessment honed through years of covert operations. Lily's face flashed in his mind. He had promised her pancakes tomorrow. Getting involved meant exposure questions. His carefully constructed anonymity shattered. For 3 years, he had worked to become invisible, to bury Lieutenant Michael Sullivan beneath the security guard's uniform. His daughter needed stability, not a father who attracted danger. Yet something in Eleanor Westbrook's composed face, even with a gun to her head, sparked recognition. The same steel he'd once seen in teammates who refused to break under pressure. The leader grew agitated, pressing the gun harder against Eleanor's temple. "Perhaps we need to show them we're serious." Decision made. Michael cut the lights with the maintenance panel, creating momentary darkness. He moved with precision. A sweeping kick and elbow, strike a wrist lock. The first kidnapper dropped unconscious, the sound of his fall masked by confusion. The second reached for his weapon, but found his arm twisted behind his back, tendons straining near breaking point. The third, the leader, spun to fire, but Michael was already there, disarming him with a technique taught only to elite operatives. Eleanor watched stunned as the security guard she'd passed 100 times without noticing subdued 3 armed men in seconds. His movements weren't frantic. They were methodical, almost elegant, professional. When the emergency lights activated, illuminating the scene, she found herself staring into eyes that had transformed. No longer downcast and forgettable, but sharp and assessing, scanning for additional threats even as he secured the final attacker. When the building security finally responded, alerted by the driver's panic button, they found 3 restrained kidnappers, a shaken CEO and a security guard, calmly checking the area for additional threats. "Who are you?" Eleanor asked, studying his face as if seeing it for the first time. "Just a security guard, ma'am," Michael replied, eyes downcast once more, already regretting his decision to intervene. "No," she said, voice steady despite her ordeal. "You're not." He met her gaze finally. "With all due respect, Ms. Westbrook, it's better for both of us if I am." As police swarmed the scene, Eleanor watched Michael slip away, determination settling in her eyes. She didn't build an empire by accepting mysteries. She would find out who just saved her life and why he was hiding behind a security badge. The next morning, Eleanor sat in her office, security footage playing on her screen. She watched Michael's movements frame by frame. The precision, the economy of motion. Nothing wasted, nothing flashy, just deadly efficiency. Military, she murmured. Special forces, most likely. Her security chief, Thomas Maxwell, nodded, standing uncomfortably at her shoulder. Those takedown techniques aren't taught to regular soldiers. And we had him checking ID badges. Eleanor said more to herself than to Maxwell. How did we miss this? Background checks for security staff aren't exactly rigorous. Basic criminal screening, employment verification. Eleanor tapped her fingers against the desk, considering. No one that's skilled disappears into a security job without reason. Find me everything. By afternoon, Eleanor had fragments. Honorable discharge. Sealed military records. A deceased wife named Catherine. A child. The pieces didn't form a complete picture, but enough to know the security guard who saved her was hiding something significant. She visited the Defense Department, leveraging connections that had helped secure Westbrook's government contracts. An old general finally revealed what her investigators couldn't find. Sullivan was one of our best. SEAL Team 6 specialized in hostage extraction, led the Beirut embassy rescue in 2017, saved 28 civilians without firing a shot. Strategic genius. The Pentagon wanted to fast-track him to top-level operations. Then what happened? Eleanor asked. The general's face softened. His wife got sick, aggressive leukemia. He requested transfer to stateside duty to be with her. After she died, he resigned his commission, disappeared completely. Some thought he might go private sector security firms, would pay millions for his expertise, but he just vanished. Until he turned up as a security guard in my building. A man with his training could have any security job in the country. If he's checking IDs at entry points, Miss Westbrook, he has his reasons. That evening, Eleanor waited beside Michael's weathered pickup in the employee parking lot. He emerged instantly alert when he spotted her. His posture shifted subtly, defensive, assessing. Old habits. Mr. Sullivan, she said, or should I say Lieutenant Sullivan? His face revealed nothing but a muscle tightened in his jaw. I'm just a security guard now. A security guard who saved my life using SEAL Team 6 training. Silence stretched between them, neither willing to break first. Finally, he asked, what do you want to offer you a job? Head of personal security. The salary is substantial. Not interested. He moved a step around her. Eleanor, unused to rejection, blocked his path. You have skills people would pay millions for. Why waste them checking IDs? Michael's composed mask slipped slightly, revealing a flash of something raw beneath. Those skills came with costs I'm not willing to pay anymore. I have a daughter who needs stability, not a father who makes powerful enemies. I could change your life, your daughter's life. My life doesn't need changing, Ms. Westbrook. I'm exactly where I need to be. Hiding, wasting your potential. Something flashed in his eyes, the first real emotion she'd seen. There's nothing wasted about keeping my promises to my daughter. Now, if you'll excuse me, Lily's waiting. Eleanor watched him drive away, both irritated and intrigued by his refusal. In her world, everyone had a price. Ambitious executives, politicians, rivals all eventually yielded to the right incentive. What would it take to change Michael Sullivan's mind? The next day, she received a security assessment on her desk. Unauthorized, detailed, highlighting 15 critical vulnerabilities in her company's protection protocols, from building access points to executive travel patterns. Each weakness was meticulously documented with suggested countermeasures. The unsigned note simply read, "Fix these. Consider it my professional courtesy." Eleanor studied the assessment, recognizing its brilliance. This wasn't just experience. This was genius-level strategic thinking. She made a call. Find me everything about Michael Sullivan's daughter. School schedule, everything. Her assistant hesitated. Are you sure that's... I don't pay you to question me, Claire. Later, reviewing the information, Eleanor learned Lily attended Oak Ridge Elementary. Recent teacher notes mentioned the girl struggles with a science project on satellites and space stations. Eleanor smiled slightly. She now had her approach. She also discovered they lived in Pinewood Apartments, a complex scheduled for demolition to make way for luxury condos. The development company Westbrook Holdings, her separate real estate venture. Eleanor stared at this information, an unfamiliar feeling stirring. These people weren't abstract obstacles. This child would lose her home because of a decision Eleanor had signed off on without a second thought. Her usual ruthless pragmatism seemed suddenly hollow. For the first time in years, Eleanor Westbrook felt something crack in her carefully constructed armor. Saturday morning, Lily Sullivan sat on their apartment's small balcony, struggling with her science project, a model of the International Space Station that kept collapsing. Michael tried to help, but engineering was never his strength. His expertise lay in assessing threats, not balancing plastic components. "Why won't the solar panels stay aligned?" Lily asked, frustration evident as the cardboard pieces tumbled them again. "Maybe they're being rebellious today," Michael suggested, earning a smile from his daughter. A knock at the door interrupted them. Michael tensed, old instincts surfacing. Through the peephole, Eleanor Westbrook, dressed casually in jeans and a simple blouse, almost unrecognizable from her corporate persona. Her copper hair fell loose around her shoulders, making her appear younger, less formidable. "How did you find where I live?" he demanded through the crack in the door chain, still engaged. "I'm a CEO, Mr. Sullivan. Information is my business." Her confident tone belied the uncertainty in her eyes. "What do you want?" Eleanor shifted uncomfortably. "I heard your daughter is working on a science project. I have an engineering background." Michael stared suspicious. Before he could respond, Lily appeared beside him, curiosity overcoming shyness. "Is she here to help with my space station? Mine keeps falling apart." Eleanor knelt to Lily's level, surprising Michael with the graceful movement. "I built a similar project when I was your age. If your dad agrees, I could show you some tricks." Something in her voice, a genuine warmth absent in their previous interaction, made Michael hesitate. Lily looked up with hopeful eyes, her expression an echo of Kate's when she wanted something. "Fine," he relented, "but I'm watching you." The cramped apartment startled Eleanor, though she hid her reaction well. Water stains marred the ceiling. Mismatched furniture crowded the small living space, but also bookshelves overflowing with children's literature arranged by reading level. A wall covered with Lily's artwork, each piece carefully framed in colorful construction paper. A photo of Michael, Lily, and a smiling woman with Lily's eyes. Kate, Eleanor presumed, displayed prominently despite its worn frame. Military history books lined another shelf with several volumes on presidential leadership. Eleanor noticed Eisenhower featured prominently. "You're interested in Eisenhower?" she asked, genuinely surprised. Michael nodded slightly. His leadership during D-Day, the way he balanced military necessity with human cost. "I just acquired his memoir for my collection," Eleanor said. His perspective on the military-industrial complex was ahead of its time. For a moment, something like genuine interest flickered in Michael's eyes. "Most people remember the warning, not the context. Most people don't read beyond headlines," Eleanor replied. For 3 hours, Eleanor helped Lily construct her space station. She explained orbital mechanics in terms the child understood. Her usual corporate precision transformed into patient guidance. Lily absorbed everything, asking insightful questions that made Eleanor smile genuinely. "You need to calculate the center of gravity," Eleanor explained, helping Lily adjust the structure. "Think of it like a balance scale. If the command module is heavier on this side, what do we need on the opposite side?" "The solar arrays and science labs," Lily exclaimed, understanding dawning. Michael observed silently, making lunch. He noticed Eleanor's eyes lingering on their modest meal preparations, the careful rationing that came with tight budgets. He recognized her awareness, not pity, but genuine observation. She was cataloging details, understanding their life through its small signals. "Why do you live in a big building all alone?" Lily asked suddenly, the question emerging with a child's innocent directness. Eleanor froze. "How do you know they live alone?" "Dad sits people's eyes tell stories. Yours look like my dad's did after Mom went to heaven." "Lily Bum," Michael intervened, "that's personal." But Eleanor answered softly, "I work a lot. It doesn't leave time for much else." "That sounds lonely," Lily said with the child's brutal honesty. "Lily," Michael warned, but Eleanor shook her head. "It's all right," to Lily she added. "Sometimes it is lonely, but I have my company. It's like a different kind of family." "Do they make you birthday cakes?" Lily pressed. Not exactly. Then it's not really like family, Lily concluded with absolute certainty. Later, as Eleanor prepared to leave the completed space station, spinning perfectly balanced in the afternoon light, Michael walked her to her car. A modest sedan, not the luxury vehicle he expected. You didn't have to do this, he said, gesturing back toward the apartment. I wanted to, Eleanor paused. Your daughter is remarkable. She is. You know this building is scheduled for demolition. Michael's face hardened. Yes, 3 months to find somewhere else we can afford. The company behind it, Westbrook Holdings, I know, who's displacing 30 families for luxury condos. His voice remained even, but accusation lingered beneath. Eleanor flinched. I came to tell you I've halted the project. The building will be renovated instead. Current residents can stay. Michael studied her, searching for deception. Why business decision? Renovation has better tax advantages. She didn't meet his eyes. Thank you, he said simply, offering neither effusive gratitude nor lingering resentment. As Eleanor drove away, she called her office. Cancel my dinner with the Japanese investors and find out which schools in the Pinewood area need science program funding. That night in her penthouse, Eleanor stood at her window. For the first time, she saw not just buildings and assets, but homes with people like Lily and Michael. She opened her laptop, searching SEAL Team 6 hostage negotiation techniques. If she wanted to understand Michael Sullivan, she needed to understand the world that shaped him. Meanwhile, Michael tucked Lily into bed, their nightly ritual unchanged, despite the unexpected visitor who had transformed their day. I like your friend, Lily murmured sleepily, clutching the stuffed rabbit that had survived 3 moves and countless washings. She's not my friend, honey. She's my boss's boss's boss. She looks at you like Mommy did in the videos, like you're her favorite puzzle to figure out. Michael kissed her forehead, dismissing the observation as a child's imagination. But later he found himself pulling out Eleanor's business card, turning it over in his hands, wondering about the woman beneath the CEO facade who spent her Saturday helping a stranger's child. Monday morning, Michael found a note with his security badge. Security office, 10:00 a.m., EW. He debated ignoring it, but curiosity won. In the security office, Eleanor waited with Maxwell, her head of security. Tension radiated between them. We have a situation, she explained without preamble. The Defense Department contract signing is in 2 weeks. We've received credible threats. She handed Michael a tablet showing security footage with timestamps. You've been conducting your own security sweeps during your shifts. Michael returned the tablet, unsurprised she discovered his nighttime rounds. Force of habit. I'm offering you a consulting position. 2 weeks. Review our security for the contract signing. Your regular job will be covered. Payment in advance. She slid an envelope across the table. Michael opened it, eyes widening at the check. This could cover Lily's education fund. That's the idea, Eleanor said, reading his expression. He studied her. Why me? Because you see things others miss. And because you have more reason than anyone else to keep me alive. What does that mean? Eleanor's eyes flicked meaningfully toward the envelope. I've added a lease agreement. Your apartment building's renovation includes a designated manager position. Free housing, modest salary. For the first time, Michael smiled slightly. Bribery, Ms. Westbrook. Investment, Mr. Sullivan. One night, midway through the security consultation, Michael was reviewing surveillance protocols when Eleanor brought coffee to the security office. You don't sleep much, do you? She asked, setting the cup beside him. Old habits, he replied, not looking up from the monitor. From your time in Beirut, his fingers paused over the keyboard. You've been digging. I like to understand who's protecting me. Michael turned to face her. Then understand this. What happened in Beirut isn't in any file you can access. 28 hostages extracted. 2 good men didn't make it home. Their names were David Miller and Jason Ramirez, brothers to me. The raw emotion in his voice startled her. I'm sorry. Don't be. You didn't send us in with faulty intelligence. Eleanor sat across from him. Is that why you left Beirut? No. Michael's eyes returned to the screen. I left because I promised Kate I'd always put Lily first. When she got sick, I transferred stateside. After she died, staying in meant deployments, absences, risks. Lily had already lost her mother. I wouldn't let her lose her father, too. So you disappeared. I became what Lily needed, stable. present, safe. Eleanor studied him. You speak 4 languages, play master-level chess, and can disarm 3 trained operatives without breaking a sweat. Yet you choose to be invisible. Being seen is dangerous in my world, Ms. Westbrook. In mine too, she said quietly. Michael looked at her, then really looked, beyond the CEO facade to the woman beneath. Orphaned at 12, foster system until college. Built your first security algorithm at 17. Never took on investors because you don't trust anyone else's judgment. Eleanor's eyebrows rose. You've been digging too. I like to understand who I'm protecting. He echoed her words with the slightest curve of his lips. Over the next 2 weeks, they worked closely. Michael overhauled security protocols identifying vulnerabilities with an intuition that impressed even Eleanor. They spent long evenings planning their professional relationship, gradually warming. Eleanor learned Michael played chess at master level, had an encyclopedic knowledge of military history, and spent his free time volunteering with a veterans reading program at the library. Michael discovered Eleanor taught herself coding at 13, climbed mountains on rare vacations, and anonymously funded several children's hospitals. You don't publicize your philanthropy, he observed one evening as they reviewed surveillance footage. Publicity creates expectations. Expectations create limitations. I prefer freedom. Is that why you live alone, freedom? Eleanor paused the video. I live alone because relationships require vulnerability. Vulnerability creates weakness. I wasn't built for weakness. Neither was I, Michael said quietly. Until Lily. And when Lily fell ill with strep throat, Eleanor arrived at their apartment with specialized medication from her private doctor and sat with the child while Michael showered and rested. Why are you helping us? He asked later as they shared coffee on the balcony, Lily finally sleeping peacefully after her fever broke. Eleanor considered carefully. For most of my life, relationships have been transactional. People want funding, connections, favors. You're the first person in years who refused what I offered. She paused. It made me curious about what it would be like to help someone who expects nothing in return. On his last day as a consultant, Michael handed Eleanor a comprehensive security overhaul document. Implementation begins immediately. Maxwell should be replaced. Eleanor raised an eyebrow. Thomas has been with me since the beginning. He's also complacent. He missed 3 infiltration attempts last month. I caught them all on camera. Yeah, that's a serious accusation. It's a serious job. Michael stood to leave. Contract's complete. I've done what you asked. Wait, Eleanor rose too. I'd like to offer you a permanent position. Special Projects Director. Problem-solving strategy. Working directly with me. Regular hours, no danger. Michael shook his head. I told you I don't want back into that world. This isn't security, this is strategy. And she hesitated. I'm developing a program to train veterans in cybersecurity. They need someone who speaks their language. Michael paused. Veterans. Many struggle to transition to civilian life. They have skills that could be redirected to cybersecurity. They need a leader who understands both worlds. For the first time, Eleanor saw genuine interest in Michael's eyes. I know men, good men, who can't find their place after service, who feel invisible in civilian life. Help me make them visible again, Eleanor said, in a way that values what they've sacrificed. Michael considered her words, the woman behind them. I'll think about it. As they prepared to leave the office, Eleanor received an email. She opened it, then froze. Michael was instantly alert. What is it? She turned the screen toward him. Photographs of her, Michael and Lily at the park at Lily's school outside their apartment. The attached message, powerful people shouldn't have such obvious weaknesses. Richard Blackwood, Eleanor explained, former business partner I testified against for fraud, released from prison last month. We need to increase security, Michael insisted, already mentally cataloging vulnerabilities in their daily routines. No, I won't let Lily's life be disrupted. The defense contract signing is tomorrow, the biggest deal of my career. Blackwood's just trying to rattle me. That's not your decision, Eleanor. Her tone brooked no argument. No, it's mine. That night, Michael sat in Sarah Turner's apartment, talking in low tones while Lily slept in the next room. This woman, Sarah said, pouring him another coffee, she's gotten under your skin. Michael rubbed his face. It's complicated. Mm-hmm. That's what Harold said about me after 3 dates. Sarah's eyes twinkled. Married me a month later. This isn't like that. Isn't it? I've seen the way you look when she visits. Like a man who's spotted land after months at sea. Michael changed the subject. I'm worried about security. There's a threat. Sarah's expression sobered. From your old life. From hers. Then protect her, Michael. It's what you do. It's who you are. Michael stared into his coffee cup. I promised Kate I'd keep Lily safe. Keep our lives simple. Catherine would want you to live, not just exist, Sarah said gently. There's a difference. The next morning, as Michael prepared Lily for school, his phone chimed with a text from Eleanor. Decision made, taking the job. Details later. Michael smiled, a weight lifting he hadn't realized he carried, then frowned as a second text arrived. Lily's school called, said you authorized early pickup, did plans change? Cold terror washed through him. He hadn't authorized anything. He called Eleanor immediately. Cancel the signing, he said without preamble. Blackwood has made his move. The Defense Department contract signing proceeded with heightened but discreet security. Eleanor dazzled the military officials with her perfect recall of their previous discussions. Michael remained vigilant in the background, watching for threats. Midway through, he noticed a caterer he didn't recognize. The man's stance, the calculated scanning of exits, the slightly too formal posture. Warning signals flared in Michael's mind. Simultaneously, his phone vibrated. A text from Lily's teacher. Your daughter wasn't picked up. Is everything okay? Michael signaled Eleanor urgently, showing her the message. Go, she said, immediately cutting off a conversation with the lead negotiator. I'll finish here. At Lily's school, the teacher explained, a woman showed your photo, said she was from Ms. Westbrook's office, had authorization codes for emergency pickup. Michael's phone rang, an unfamiliar voice. Your daughter is safe, Sullivan, for now. Tell Westbrook to transfer $30 million to this account plus access to her quantum encryption program, or she never sees the child again. Eleanor arrived minutes later, already mobilizing her company resources. We'll pay, she said without hesitation. No, Gwen. Michael's voice was deadly calm. Once we pay, we lose leverage. Lily becomes disposable. We can't risk her life. Trust me, Michael's eyes locked with hers. I've handled 37 hostage situations, never lost one. If for a woman accustomed to control, it was the ultimate test of trust. Finally, she nodded. Michael made contact with Blackwood, his SEAL training evident in every calculated word. He established rapport, created false time pressure, extracted critical information about Lily's location through subtle psychological techniques. Eleanor watched him transform. No longer the quiet security guard or thoughtful strategist, but a precision instrument focused on one objective. She made calls at his direction, leveraging her resources exactly as instructed, despite her instinct to take charge. Michael placed another call, this one to a number he hadn't dialed in years. Lieutenant Sullivan, a gruff voice answered. Thought you fell off the grid. Need your help, sir. Hostage situation, my daughter. Retired Lieutenant Colonel James Morrison's voice sharpened. Location. When Michael identified an abandoned warehouse district as the likely location, Eleanor insisted on accompanying him despite his objections. She's your daughter, Eleanor said fiercely, but she matters to me too. At the warehouse, they met Morrison, a weathered 65-year-old with steel gray hair and the posture of a man half his age. With him were two other men Michael clearly knew. Wilson, Chavez. Michael greeted them with tight nods. Still getting into trouble, I see, Wilson said, checking his weapon with practiced ease. Some things never change, Chavez added. Morrison outlined a tactical approach on a rough map. Sullivan, you take point. Westbrook stays with me as command. No, Eleanor interjected. I'm going in as the primary contact. Blackwood wants me, not Lily. Absolutely not, Michael objected. This isn't a discussion. You taught me leaders make hard decisions. Her voice softened. Let me do this, Michael. For Lily. For you. Before he could respond, Eleanor stepped forward, Morrison restraining Michael with a firm hand on his shoulder. She's got guts, the older man muttered, like that ambassador's wife in Beirut. Michael's expression darkened at the memory. Get comms ready, if anything happens to either of them. It won't, Morrison assured him. We've got your six, always have. Eleanor approached the warehouse entrance, calling Blackwood's name. As predicted, he emerged gun-trained on her. "The mighty Eleanor Westbrook," he sneered. "Come to save some security guard's brat." Eleanor stood her ground. "I transferred 15 million. You'll get the rest when Lily's safe." Blackwood laughed. "You're not in control anymore, Eleanor." "Neither are you," she replied calmly. "The building is surrounded, but I'm offering you a way out. The money a private jet disappearance protocols my company developed for high-risk witnesses." While Eleanor kept Blackwood engaged using negotiation techniques Michael taught her, he slipped through the shadows, locating Lily in a back office with one guard. "Dad," she whispered when he appeared at the door. "Quiet," he cautioned, dispatching the guard with silent efficiency. "Eleanor is here too. We're going home." The confrontation escalated when Blackwood realized Eleanor's transfer contained a tracking protocol. He raised his weapon, but Eleanor didn't flinch. "You won't shoot me," she said with absolute certainty. "Why not?" Blackwood snarled. "Because I'm not what you really want. Revenge doesn't pay your debts." As Blackwood hesitated, Michael secured Lily safely outside. He signaled Eleanor through their earpiece. "Package secured." Eleanor's posture changed subtly. "It's over, Richard." Blackwood lunged for her, but Eleanor sidestepped with precision Michael taught her, using Blackwood's momentum against him. As Blackwood stumbled, Morrison and his team stormed in. Outside, Lily ran to her father, then surprisingly extended her arms to Eleanor too. The three embraced a tableau of unlikely connection. Later, after Lily slept safely at home, Eleanor faced Michael in their living room. "You risked everything," he said quietly. "Why?" Eleanor's composure finally broke. "Because for the first time in my life, something matters more than success or control." Her voice wavered. "You and Lily, you've become my family. I couldn't bear to lose that." Michael took her hand. "When Kate died, I thought I'd never feel whole again. I built walls to protect Lily and myself. And now I realize those same walls were keeping us isolated." He met her eyes. "I don't want to be protected anymore." "Neither does Lily." Eleanor leaned forward, vulnerability and strength balanced perfectly. "Neither do I." As Michael drove home that night with Lily asleep in the back seat, his phone pinged with a message from Eleanor. "Special Projects Director starts Monday, 9 a.m. Don't be late." For the first time in 3 years, Michael Sullivan smiled without reservation. The shadows of Beirut seemed finally to recede, replaced by the promise of a new mission. One where the stakes were just as high, but the rewards infinitely greater. But neither Michael nor Eleanor noticed the small, blinking light attached beneath his truck, a tracker placed by someone who had watched the entire operation with cold, calculating eyes. The same eyes that now observed another screen showing blueprints of Michael's apartment building. Next to it lay a detonator waiting to be activated. 6 months passed. Westbrook Security Solutions buzzed with activity. The company had transformed its approach to personnel development under Michael's direction. The Veterans Program, officially named Second Chance Initiative, had already recruited 20 former military specialists for cybersecurity training. In the boardroom, Eleanor addressed international investors. "Westbrook isn't just changing technology. We're changing lives." She gestured to the presentation screen showing program statistics. "These men and women protected our nation. Now they're protecting our digital infrastructure with the same dedication." The program had garnered national attention. A feature in the Wall Street Journal highlighted how Westbrook was tapping into an overlooked talent pool while addressing the critical shortage of cybersecurity professionals. The Defense Department had taken notice, expanding their contract to include training programs for military personnel transitioning to civilian life. Board member Lawrence Palmer approached Eleanor after the presentation. "Remarkable turnaround this year. The Sullivan influence, I presume, Braun. Michael helped me see untapped potential in the company and myself." Speaking of Sullivan, Palmer continued, lowering his voice. "Rumors are circulating about your personal involvement." Eleanor's expression cooled. "My personal life is not board business. It is when it affects shareholder perception. A CEO romantically involved with a former security guard." "Special Projects Director," she corrected sharply, "with military credentials. Most of our security consultants couldn't match. In a strategic mind that's increased our Veterans Division's profitability by 40%. Nevertheless, Palmer interrupted the optics. I've never asked this board for personal approval, and I won't start now. Eleanor cut him off. Judge my results, not my choices. She left Palmer stunned, finding Michael waiting outside. He recognized her expression. Board problems. Nothing I can't handle. She checked her watch. We should hurry. Lily's science fair starts in an hour. At Oak Ridge Elementary, they slipped into the auditorium. Lily stood confidently beside her project, Secure Communications for Emergency Responders, inspired by Michael's military experience and Eleanor's technology knowledge. My research shows that triangular signal relay patterns provide optimal coverage with minimal equipment, Lily explained to the judges, her voice clear and assured. I tested different configurations using these radio frequency models. When the principal announced the winners, Lily's name came first. As she accepted her trophy, she beamed at Michael and Eleanor. My dad taught me that sometimes signals get scrambled, she explained to the audience. But with the right relay system, we can always find our way back to each other. Michael squeezed Eleanor's hand, both recognizing the metaphor. Later at Eleanor's penthouse, now warmer with family photographs and Lily's artwork, Michael received an official letter. His military service record had been amended, acknowledging previously classified missions, approving long overdue commendations. How, he asked Eleanor, I may have spoken with some people at the Pentagon. She smiled. Your daughter should know her father is a hero officially. That evening, news broke of Westbrook's Revolutionary Veterans Program, with Michael named as director. His phone filled with messages from former comrades, men and women who had disappeared into civilian obscurity, like him now offered pathways back to meaningful work. One text stood out. Lieutenant Colonel Morrison, knew you'd find your way back as Sullivan. Different battlefield, same warrior. Eleanor found Michael on the balcony staring at his phone. Regrets, she asked softly. Gratitude, he corrected. I spent years hiding who I was thinking invisibility meant safety. And now he turned to her. Now I understand that being seen, truly seen by the right person is the greatest security of all. Eleanor leaned against him. The board questioned my judgment today about us. What did you tell them? That some investments can't be measured on quarterly reports. She looked up at him. That some risks are worth taking. They had settled into a rhythm over the months. Michael and Lily kept their apartment, but spent weekends at the penthouse. Eleanor found herself collecting children's books for a growing shelf in what had become Lily's room. Michael had installed security systems that would make Fort Knox envious, but with subtle elegance that didn't disrupt the home's warmth. For Memorial Day, they visited Arlington National Cemetery. Michael paid respects to Miller and Ramirez, introducing Lily and Eleanor to the memories of the brothers he'd lost in Beirut. Lieutenant Colonel Morrison joined them along with several veterans from the Second Chance program. Kate would approve, Morrison told Michael quietly as they watched Eleanor helping Lily place flowers on a grave. Of what? Michael asked. Of you finding your way forward. Of building something new without forgetting what was. Michael nodded, unable to speak past the tightness in his throat. The only shadow in their lives came from Michael's nightmares. They still arrived without warning, leaving him gasping in the darkness, disoriented between past and present. Eleanor learned to recognize the signs of the tension in his shoulders, the distant look that meant he was back in Beirut or Afghanistan or a dozen other places he rarely named. On those nights, she gave him space, then presence, then gentle conversation that anchored him to the present. She never mentioned the episodes the next day, understanding instinctively that acknowledging them would only deepen his shame. Until July 4th, when everything changed. They had gathered on the penthouse rooftop for a barbecue with Lily Sarah Turner and several veterans from the program. The Boston skyline provided a perfect backdrop for the fireworks display scheduled for that evening. Michael was grilling, looking more relaxed than Eleanor had ever seen him, laughing at something Wilson was saying. Lily and Sarah were setting the table, debating the merits of different potato salad recipes. The first firework exploded overhead in a shower of red and gold. Beautiful. Harmless. Michael dropped the spatula. His body went rigid. His eyes suddenly vacant, scanned for threats that existed only in memory. Incoming, he shouted, diving toward Lily, covering her body with his own. The gathering froze in collective understanding. Combat veterans recognized the 1,000-yard stare. PTSD. Flashback. Eleanor moved toward them, but Morrison caught her arm. Don't touch him yet, the older man warned. He's not here right now. Michael, Eleanor called softly, kneeling a few feet away. Michael, it's Eleanor. You're in Boston. With Lily. You're safe. Long seconds passed. Michael's breathing gradually slowed. His eyes focused, recognition returning. Horror replaced confusion as he realized what had happened. I'm sorry, he whispered, helping Lily up, checking her for injuries his protection might have caused. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Lily's small hand touched his cheek. It's okay, Daddy. The loud noises scared you. The simplicity of her understanding broke something in Michael. He stood abruptly, walking to the edge of the roof, away from concerned eyes. Eleanor turned to Morrison. Has this happened before? Not like this, Morrison said quietly. Not in front of Lily. He never told me. He wouldn't. Men like Michael, they carry their wounds privately. Eleanor approached Michael cautiously. His knuckles were white where he gripped the rooftop railing. Michael, don't. His voice was raw. Just don't. Everyone understands. Lily saw me break. She saw what I've been hiding from her. She saw her father, who sometimes remembers scary things, that's all. Michael turned to her, eyes haunted. You don't understand. I can't be what you need, what Lily needs when I'm like this. I'm damaged goods, Eleanor. So am I, she said simply. We all are. Not like this. Eleanor stepped closer. My father was a Marine, Vietnam. He had episodes just like yours, sometimes at night, sometimes when a car backfired, once in the middle of my birthday party. Michael looked at her in surprise. He died when I was 12. Car accident. He'd been drinking, self-medicating. My mother had already left, couldn't handle his spells, she called them. Eleanor's voice remained steady. After he died, I bounced through foster homes, built walls no one could breach. Sound familiar? She took his hand. Your PTSD doesn't make you broken, Michael. It makes you human. A human who survived things most people couldn't imagine. Behind them, the party had resumed, veterans tactfully creating normalcy. Lily was helping Sarah serve food, but her eyes kept finding her father, making sure he was okay. How do I explain to her? Michael asked. The truth, that sometimes your brain remembers scary things that happened when you were a soldier. That loud noises can trick your brain into thinking you're back there. That it doesn't change how much you love her. Michael took a deep breath. Kate always knew what to do when this happened. Tell me about her, Eleanor said. The real her, not just Lily's mother. A small smile touched Michael's lips. She was a combat nurse, tougher than most SEALs I knew. Called me on my bullshit. Loved classic rock and terrible sci-fi movies. Made the best pancakes you've ever tasted. She sounds wonderful. She was. She would have liked you, I think. Michael turned to her fully. Thank you for not running. Eleanor squeezed his hand. I don't scare easily, Sullivan. Later that night, after the fireworks ended and guests departed, Michael sat with Lily in her bedroom at the penthouse. Daddy, are you sick like Mommy was? Lily asked, her small face serious in the soft lamplight. Michael's heart clenched. No, sweetheart, it's different. Sometimes when there are loud noises like the fireworks, my brain gets confused. It thinks I'm back in places where I had to protect people as a soldier. Is that why you covered me, to protect me? Yes, even though you weren't really in danger. My brain got confused. Lily considered this. Like when I have nightmares about monsters, but there aren't really monsters. Exactly like that, Michael said, relief washing through him at her understanding. Does Eleanor help when your brain gets confused, like you help me with my nightmares? She does. Lily nodded, satisfied. Good. Everybody needs somebody when they're scared. Michael held his daughter close, marveling at her wisdom. When did you get so smart? Eleanor says I get it from you, but Mom always said I was an old soul. Lily yawned. Can we still go to the veterans picnic tomorrow? Mr. Morrison said he'd show me how to play chess. If you want to. I do. Those men are your friends. They understand about confused brains. Michael kissed her forehead. Yes, they do. In the living room, Eleanor was working on her laptop when Michael emerged. She's asleep, he said, dropping onto the sofa beside her, and apparently wiser than both of us combined. Eleanor smiled. I've suspected that for some time. Michael took her hand. I've been thinking about what happened tonight, about what you said. Oh, I've spent 3 years hiding my PTSD from Lily thinking I was protecting her. But maybe I was just protecting myself from having to explain it. Eleanor closed her laptop. Children understand more than we give them credit for. She asked if you help me when my brain gets confused. I told her yes. Michael's thumb traced circles on Eleanor's palm. You know, help me. More than I've let myself admit. Eleanor set her laptop aside. We help each other. Move in with us, Michael said suddenly. Or let us move in here. Properly. Not just weekends. Eleanor's eyes widened. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He leaned forward, resting his forehead against hers. I love you, Eleanor Westbrook. Have for months now. Eleanor's hand came up to cup his cheek. I love you too, Michael Sullivan. Have for longer than I care to admit. Their kiss was gentle, a promise rather than a passion. When they separated, Eleanor smiled. For the record, Lily told me weeks ago that we were being silly by having two homes when we're clearly a family. Michael laughed. Like I said, wiser than both of us. The next morning, Eleanor woke to an empty bed. She found Michael and Lily in the kitchen making pancakes. Or rather, Lily was directing operations while Michael executed her instructions with military precision. The chocolate chips have to be arranged in a smiley face, Lily was saying. Mom's recipe. Yes, ma'am, Michael replied with mock seriousness. Eleanor leaned against the doorframe watching them. This was what had been missing from her life, not just success or achievement, but this. Belonging. Family. Michael looked up, catching her eye. His smile, so rare in the early days, now came easily. Breakfast is almost ready. Lily insists we need to fortify ourselves for the veterans' picnic. Tactical nutrition, Lily said solemnly, earning a chuckle from both adults. As they ate, Eleanor's phone chimed with an email. She frowned, reading it. Problem? Michael asked. Thomas Maxwell. He's requested a meeting. Says he has information about irregularities in the Second Chance program. Michael's expression darkened. Maxwell was fired for incompetence. This is retaliation. Probably, Eleanor agreed, but I should hear him out. Standard corporate protocol. I don't trust him. Neither do I, but ignoring him only gives him ammunition. The veterans' picnic was held in a park near the harbor. About 30 former military personnel, now Westbrook employees or trainees, gathered with their families. Lieutenant Colonel Morrison had organized the event, complete with grills, games, and a chess tournament. Michael introduced Eleanor and Lily to everyone, pride evident in his voice. These were his people, men and women who understood the weight of service and sacrifice, who recognized both the man he had been and the man he was becoming. Eleanor was struck by how different Michael was here, more animated, less guarded. He laughed more easily, spoke more freely. Even his posture changed, the vigilant tension in his shoulders relaxing slightly. Lily was quickly adopted by the group, passed from family to family, included in games and conversations. Morrison made good on his promise to teach her chess, his weathered hands patient as he explained each piece's movement. Your daughter has a tactical mind, Morrison told Michael as they watched from a distance. Thinking 3 moves ahead already. Takes after her mother, Michael replied. And her father, Morrison countered. Kate was brilliant, but the strategic thinking. That's all you, son. Eleanor was deep in conversation with a former Army intelligence officer, now working in Westbrook's data analysis division, when she noticed a familiar figure at the edge of the gathering. Thomas Maxwell. She excused herself and approached him. This is a private event, Thomas. Maxwell smiled thinly. Just observing your little social experiment. Quite the rehabilitation project. He nodded toward Michael, who was engaged in what appeared to be good-natured argument with Wilson and Chavez. If you have something to say it, Eleanor said coldly. I've been investigating your precious Second Chance initiative, found some interesting discrepancies. Maxwell handed her a thumb drive. Financial irregularities, security clearance shortcuts. The Pentagon might be interested to know how you're fast-tracking potentially unstable veterans into sensitive positions. Eleanor pocketed the drive without looking at it. Is that all? For now. Maxwell's eyes shifted to Lily playing chess with Morrison. Cute kid. Shame if anything happened to her. Again. Eleanor stepped closer, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Are you threatening a child, Thomas? Just making an observation. Children are so vulnerable, like your little boyfriend over there. One loud noise and he's back in the combat zone. Is that really the kind of man you want around your company? Around that little girl? Eleanor's hand shot out, grabbing Maxwell's wrist with surprising strength. Listen carefully. If you ever come near Lily Michael or any member of the Second Chance program again, I will personally ensure you never work in security or technology again. Is that clear? Maxwell wrenched his arm free. Crystal, but you might want to look at that drive before making threats. Your perfect Sullivan isn't as clean as you think. As Maxwell walked away, Michael appeared at Eleanor's side. What did he want? Eleanor hesitated, then showed him the thumb drive. He claims there are irregularities in the program, and he made a veiled threat about Lily. Michael's expression hardened. I should have... No, Eleanor interrupted. That's what he wants. A reaction. He's baiting you. What's on the drive? I don't know yet, but we'll look at it together. They didn't mention the encounter to anyone else, not wanting to disrupt the picnic. But Eleanor noticed Michael's vigilance, returning his eyes, scanning the perimeter more frequently, his body positioning itself between potential threats and Lily. That evening, after Lily was asleep, they examined the thumb drive's contents on Eleanor's secure system. Financial records, personnel files, security clearance applications. He's been gathering this for months, Michael said, scrolling through documents. Looking for anything to discredit the program, Eleanor agreed, but I don't see any actual evidence of wrongdoing. Michael froze, staring at a particular file. This one's different. Eleanor leaned closer. It was Michael's full military record, including sections that should have been classified. Missions in countries the U.S. had never officially acknowledged operations in. Kill counts, psychological evaluations. How did he get this? Eleanor wondered. Someone at the Pentagon, someone with high-level clearance. Michael's voice was tight. The same person who could have given Blackwood information about me 6 months ago. You think Maxwell and Blackwood are connected? I think it's a hell of a coincidence otherwise. Eleanor studied the psychological evaluation sections closely. He's trying to use your PTSD against you, against the program. Against us, Michael corrected. He knows about last night, the fireworks. Eleanor's eyes widened. He was watching us. Surveillance probably has been 4 months. Michael ran a hand through his hair. This is my fault. I let my guard down. No, Eleanor said firmly. This is not your fault. This is Maxwell being vindictive because I chose you over him. Michael looked at her sharply. What do you mean chose me over him? Eleanor sighed. Thomas wanted more than a professional relationship. I declined. When I hired you for his position, he took it personally. You never mentioned this. It wasn't relevant. It was years ago. Michael stood pacing the room. It's relevant now. If he's working with Blackwood, then we handle it, Eleanor finished, together, like we did before. Michael stopped pacing. Not like before. This time we get ahead of it. I'm calling Morrison. We need eyes on Maxwell, figure out who he's meeting with. And I'll have our security team sweep for surveillance devices, Eleanor added, both here and at your apartment. Our apartment, Michael corrected automatically, then froze. Sarah, if they've been watching us, I'll send a team to her place too, Eleanor assured him. For 2 weeks they maintained heightened vigilance while gathering information on Maxwell. Morrison and his contacts established surveillance tracking Maxwell's movements and communications. Eleanor's technical team discovered and removed 7 listening devices from the Pentagon and 3 from Michael's apartment. He's been busy, Morrison remarked, examining one of the bugs. Military grade, not something you pick up at a spy shop. Connections from his security days, Eleanor suggested. Or deeper, Michael said. The classified files had to come from someone with serious clearance. Sarah Turner was moved temporarily to a Westbrook-owned property for renovations to her apartment. Lily's school was briefed on enhanced security protocols without being told the specific threat. Through it all, they maintained normalcy for Lily's sake. Michael continued running the Second Chance program. Eleanor proceeded with company business. They moved Michael and Lily's belongings to the penthouse's plan, making it seem like a natural progression rather than a security measure. But the strain showed in small ways. Michael slept lighter, if at all. Eleanor worked later, reviewing security measures repeatedly. Both checked on Lily more frequently during the night. We can't live like this indefinitely, Eleanor said one night as they sat in the darkened living room long after Lily had gone to bed, waiting for something to happen. No, Michael agreed. We need to force their hand. How balam. Give them what they want. Me, vulnerable, exposed. Eleanor stiffened. Absolutely not. It's the logical play. Maxwell wants to discredit me, prove I'm unstable. We let him think he's succeeded. Too dangerous. Michael took her hand. Eleanor, this is what I was trained for, creating controlled scenarios to draw out threats. And if Maxwell is working with Blackwood, if this isn't just about corporate revenge, then we'll be ready. But we need to end this, for Lily's sake. Eleanor was silent for a long moment. I can't lose you. Either of you. You won't. Michael's voice held absolute certainty. I promised Lily pancakes tomorrow. I keep my promises. The plan was simple in concept, complex in execution. Michael would appear to have a public breakdown, a PTSD episode triggered by a staged event at Westbrook headquarters. Eleanor would be forced to remove him from the Second Chance program, at least temporarily. The apparent vulnerability would draw out whoever was behind the surveillance and threats. Morrison and his team would be watching. Eleanor's security would be primed for intervention. Every angle covered every contingency planned for. What they didn't plan for was Lily. The morning of the operation, Lily came down with a fever, not serious but enough that she couldn't go to school. Their carefully orchestrated plan required adjustment. Sarah was supposed to take Lily for the day, but Michael was reluctant to expose Sarah to potential risk if things went wrong. Bring her to the office, Eleanor suggested. We have a secure room near my office. She can rest there, watch movies. We'll have someone with her at all times. Too many variables, Michael objected. More control than leaving her with Sarah or canceling the operation, Eleanor countered. And she'll be close if we need to move quickly. Michael reluctantly agreed. The security team was briefed on the change. Additional personnel were assigned to Lily's protection. The plan proceeded. At Westbrook headquarters, Michael established Lily in the secure room with books, movies, and her favorite stuffed rabbit. One of Morrison's most trusted men, a former medic with children of his own, stayed with her, monitoring her fever. I'll be in meetings today, Michael told her, kissing her forehead. But I'm in the building if you need me, and Eleanor will check on you soon. I'm okay, Daddy, Lily assured him, already drowsy from the children's fever reducer. Just tired. The staged confrontation was set for the executive floor. Maxwell had been summoned for a meeting with the board to discuss his concerns about the Second Chance program. Michael would be present. During the meeting, a planned series of loud noises would trigger what would appear to be a PTSD episode. Eleanor would reluctantly suspend Michael, creating the appearance of a rift. Maxwell would believe his plan had succeeded, and whoever was working with him would make their move. Everything proceeded according to plan. The board members, all briefed on the true nature of the operation, played their parts perfectly. Maxwell presented his evidence of Michael's instability. The stage trigger occurred. Michael appeared to have a flashback, overturning a table and shouting military commands before being restrained by security. Eleanor, her face a mask of regret, announced Michael's temporary suspension. Maxwell didn't bother hiding his triumph. What no one anticipated was that the secure room where Lily rested was directly beneath the boardroom. The loud noises designed to trigger Michael's apparent episode woke her. Confused and feverish, she left the room while her protector was momentarily distracted by a call from Morrison updating him on the operation. Lily took the elevator up, looking for her father. She stepped onto the executive floor just as Michael was being escorted to the elevator by security. Their eyes met across the hallway. Confusion and fear crossed Lily's face. Daddy, her small voice carried in the sudden silence. Michael froze. This wasn't part of the plan. Lily wasn't supposed to see this. The raw panic in her eyes was real. He believed her father was actually having an episode, actually being removed. Lily, he started toward her, breaking character. It's okay. A sharp crick interrupted him, the unmistakable sound of a gunshot. Glass shattered. People screamed. Security personnel dropped to defensive positions. Through the chaos, Michael saw Maxwell reaching for something inside his jacket. Not Maxwell, the threat was coming from outside. A sniper. Down. Michael shouted, diving toward Lily as a second shot rang out. He felt the bullet's impact before he heard the sound, a searing pain in his shoulder. He continued moving, covering Lily with his body, rolling them both behind a desk. Daddy, Lily cried, her eyes wide with terror. You're bleeding. It's okay, sweetheart, Michael assured her, though the spreading warmth on his shirt told a different story. Just a scratch. Security teams were mobilizing. Morrison's voice came through the comm system. Shooter on the roof of the building across the street. Teams responding. Eleanor appeared beside them, her face white with fear. Michael. I'm fine, he insisted. Get Lily out of here. As Eleanor reached for Lily, Maxwell made his move. He drew a concealed weapon aiming not at Michael or Eleanor, but at the child. Nobody move, he shouted. This ends now. Michael shifted, placing himself between the gun and Lily despite his injury. Maxwell, think about what you're doing. I have thought about it, Maxwell replied, his voice eerily calm. For months, ever since she chose you, since she threw away everything we built for some broken soldier playing security guard. Thomas, Eleanor said carefully, this isn't about Michael or Lily. Put the gun down. It's about all of us, Maxwell insisted. You were supposed to be mine, Eleanor. We were building something great. Then he shows up and suddenly I'm expendable. Understanding dawned in Michael's eyes. You sent those kidnappers 6 months ago to make Eleanor feel vulnerable, so you could be the hero. Maxwell's laugh was brittle. Except you interfered, stole my moment. Everything went wrong because of you. In Blackwood, Eleanor asked slowly, edging Lily behind a more substantial barrier. A convenient ally. He wanted revenge, I wanted you. We helped each other. Michael's tactical mind was racing despite the pain in his shoulder. Blood loss would become a problem soon. Lily was terrified but safe behind Eleanor. Security teams would be converging, but Maxwell was unstable, unpredictable. You were the inside man, Michael realized. You gave Blackwood access to Eleanor's schedule, to Lily's school information. I gave him what he needed to scare you, Maxwell corrected. Not to hurt anyone, that wasn't the plan. What was the plan, Thomas? Eleanor asked, keeping his attention on her as Michael shifted position slightly. To show you he was dangerous, that his PTSD made him a liability, that you needed someone stable, someone who understood corporate security, not just military operations. Someone like you. Exactly. Maxwell's eyes gleamed with a fervor that chilled Eleanor. We were perfect together, building Westbrook from nothing. Then you throw it all away for him, for his traumatized kid. The insult to Lily was calculated to provoke Michael to make him act rashly. Instead, it had the opposite effect. Cold tactical clarity descended. The pain in his shoulder receded. The room sharpened into angles and distances. Threat assessment. Response options. Where's Blackwood now? Michael asked calmly. Maxwell's smile was ugly. Closer than you think. Did you really believe we wouldn't have contingencies? That little apartment of yours, the one you're so attached to, wired with enough explosives to take out the whole building? Eleanor's breath caught. Sarah, the old lady next door, collateral damage. Unless you make the right choice now, Eleanor. What choice? Eleanor asked, though she already knew. Him or me. Send Sullivan and his daughter away far away and I disable the explosives. Reject me again and I make the call. Michael caught Eleanor's eye, a silent communication passing between them. Trust me. Thomas, Eleanor said carefully, put down the gun and we'll talk, just you and me, like old times. Hope flickered across Maxwell's face, quickly replaced by suspicion. No tricks. No tricks, Eleanor agreed. Michael will take Lily and leave. You and I will sort this out. Maxwell hesitated, weapons still trained on them. How do I know you won't just call security once they're gone? Because you still have the detonator, Eleanor pointed out reasonably. And because I'm a businesswoman. I make practical decisions. The logic appealed to Maxwell. His grip on the gun relaxed slightly. Sullivan goes, now, but the kid stays insurance. No deal, Michael said immediately. Not negotiable. Maxwell snapped, finger tightening on the trigger. Wait, Eleanor interjected. Thomas, think. If anything happens to Lily, do you really believe I would ever choose you, ever forgive you? Maxwell wavered, uncertainty crossing his face. I just want things back the way they were. Then let her go with Michael. Show me you can be the man I need. The internal struggle played out across Maxwell's features. Finally, he nodded. Fine, both of them go, but you stay, Eleanor, and I keep the detonator until I'm satisfied. Agreed, Eleanor said before Michael could object. Eleanor, Michael began. Take Lily, she said firmly. Now. Michael gathered Lily into his arms despite his injured shoulder, his eyes never leaving Eleanor's. "I'll come back for you." "I know," she whispered. As Michael carried Lily toward the elevator, Morrison's voice came through his earpiece. "Teams in position, sniper neutralized, waiting on your signal." Michael whispered, his response lips barely moving. "Eleanor staying with Maxwell. Explosive device at Pinewood Apartments. Sarah Turner at risk. Blackwood location unknown." The elevator doors closed on Eleanor's resolute face. Michael felt Lily trembling against his chest. "Daddy, you're hurt," she whispered. "I'll be okay, sweetheart." He kissed the top of her head. "And so will Eleanor." "I promise." "The bad man has a gun." "I know, but we have something stronger." Michael met his daughter's frightened eyes. "We have family, and family always finds a way back to each other." As the elevator descended, Michael's phone vibrated with a text from an unknown number. "Tick-tock, Sullivan, the clock's already running." Time was the enemy now. Michael felt it slipping away as the elevator descended to the lobby. Lily clung to him, her small body trembling against his wounded shoulder. The pain was secondary to the tactical problem before him. Eleanor held hostage by Maxwell Sarah, potentially in danger at Pinewood Apartments, and Blackwood still unaccounted for. "Lieutenant," Morrison's voice came through the earpiece. "Bomb squad en route to Pinewood. Wilson and Chavez are coordinating evacuation." "What's your 20 lobby?" Michael replied quietly. "With Lily. Need medical and secure transport." "On it. Perimeter team standing by for your orders regarding Maxwell." Michael stepped off the elevator, scanning for threats automatically. The lobby was in controlled chaos, security personnel, clearing civilians, tactical teams, establishing defensive positions. A familiar figure approached through the crowd. Dr. Abigail Chen, the company physician, moved with calm efficiency. "Let me see that shoulder," she said without preamble. "Lily first," Michael insisted. "She has a fever." Dr. Chen nodded, understanding priorities. She guided them to a secure medical room off the main lobby. As she checked Lily's temperature, Michael received updates through his earpiece, planning his next moves while allowing the doctor to quickly clean and bandage his shoulder. "Through and through," she remarked. "You're lucky, but you need a hospital." Later, Michael said, "Lily, low-grade fever, probably just a virus. She's more scared than sick." Michael knelt before his daughter, who sat wrapped in a blanket on the examination table. "Lily, I need to go help Eleanor. Dr. Chen is going to take you somewhere safe." Fear flashed in Lily's eyes. "No, don't leave." "Sweetheart, I have to. Remember what you said about the space station, how all the parts have to work together or the whole thing falls." Lily nodded hesitantly. "Right now, our family is like that space station. Each of us has a job to do to keep everyone safe. My job is to help Eleanor. Your job is to be brave and go with Dr. Chen." "What's Eleanor's job?" Lily asked, her voice small. Michael smiled gently. "To stay strong until we can bring her home. Promise you'll both come back." "I promise." Dr. Chen stepped forward. "I'll take her to my sister's house in Cambridge. Off the grid, secure location. No one will look for her there." Michael nodded gratefully. "Morrison's team will provide escort." He kissed Lily's forehead. "I love you, sweetheart. Be brave for me." "I love you too, Daddy." Lily whispered, her small fingers clutching his for a moment before letting go. As Dr. Chen prepared to leave with Lily, Morrison entered, accompanied by a tall, lean man Michael hadn't seen in years. "Captain Reynolds," Michael said, surprised. "It's Director Reynolds now," the man replied. "FBI counterterrorism. Your colonel called in some favors." Morrison's expression remained stoic, but his eyes held a hint of satisfaction. "Told you we had your sixth lieutenant." Michael quickly briefed Reynolds on the situation while a medic changed his bloodied shirt for a tactical one. "Maxwell's holding Eleanor on the executive floor. He has a detonator linked to explosives at Pinewood Apartments. In Blackwood, unknown location, but he's coordinating with Maxwell." Reynolds nodded grimly. "We've got teams at Pinewood evacuating residents. Bomb squad assessing the situation." "What's your play with Maxwell?" Michael checked his watch. 23 minutes since he'd left Eleanor. He's unstable, fixated on Eleanor. Believes they have some destined relationship. But he's also calculating he won't harm her unless he feels cornered. Negotiator. "No time," Michael said, "and he won't respond to strangers. It has to be me." Morrison frowned. "You're injured, emotionally compromised." I'm the only one who understands what we're dealing with, Michael countered. Maxwell wants to eliminate me as a rival. Let's use that. Reynolds considered this. What do you need? Tactical team ready but invisible. Clear communication with the bomb squad at Pinewood. And someone needs to track down Blackwood. He's the wild card. On it, Reynolds said, already issuing commands to his team. Morrison pulled Michael aside. You're going back in there with a fresh gunshot wound to face a man who wants you dead to save a woman both of you are in love with. That sound about right? Michael's lips quirked slightly. Tuesday at the office, sir. The older man snorted. Just like Beirut, you never could follow standard protocol. His expression sobered. Watch your six in there. That shoulder's going to slow your reaction time. Noted, Michael said. How's Sarah? Safe. We got her out first thing. She's with the evacuation team. Morrison handed Michael an earpiece. Secure channel. We'll be listening. Michael nodded, checking his watch again. 27 minutes now. Let's move. At Pinewood Apartments, the bomb squad had made a disturbing discovery. The explosives were real and sophisticated. Military-grade remote detonators with backup timers already counting down. Evacuation was proceeding, but disarming would take time they might not have. Michael received this information as he prepared to return to the executive floor. He kept his expression neutral, despite the implications. Maxwell might be unhinged, but his threats were deadly serious. Reynolds, Michael said quietly, if those bombs go off, I want your word that Maxwell doesn't leave that building alive. The FBI director met his gaze steadily. You have it. Michael took the executive elevator alone, unarmed, as Maxwell had demanded in a tense phone negotiation. As the floors ticked by, he centered himself, pushing away pain and fear. He'd faced worse odds in darker places. The difference now was what he stood to lose. The elevator doors opened on the executive floor. Michael stepped out, hands visible. Maxwell, he called. I'm back, as agreed. Eleanor and Maxwell sat in her office, visible through the glass walls. She appeared unharmed, her posture tense but dignified. Maxwell held the gun casually, the detonator placed on the desk between them like a paperweight. Sullivan, Maxwell acknowledged. Alone? As requested. Michael approached slowly. Lily's safe, off-site. Now let's talk about those explosives. Maxwell smiled thinly. Let's talk about Eleanor instead, about how you've corrupted everything she built. Turned a cutting-edge security firm into a charity for broken soldiers. Michael stopped at the office doorway. The Second Chance program has increased company profits by 40%. That's not charity, it's good business. It's a distraction, Maxwell snapped. From what we were meant to be. Eleanor's eyes met Michael's briefly. A silent communication passed between them. She was buying time, keeping Maxwell talking. Michael needed to do the same. What were you meant to be, Thomas? Michael asked, stepping carefully into the office. Before Blackwood. Before this, Maxwell's expression twisted. Her partner. In everything, we started Westbrook together. Did she tell you that I was there from the beginning? As her head of security, Eleanor corrected quietly. Ma, as a founder. I protected you, Maxwell's voice rose. When no one else believed in you, I was there. When you had nothing but algorithms and dreams, I provided the structure, the real-world applications. Michael noted the increasing agitation, the tightening grip on the weapon. Unstable, but still dangerous. Still calculating. Where's Blackwood? Michael asked, changing tactics. Maxwell's smile returned cold and satisfied. Worried about your neighbor, the old lady? Don't be. As long as Eleanor makes the right choice, everyone lives. And what choice is that exactly? Michael kept his voice calm, reasonable. She comes with me. Overseas. We restart away from all this. Maxwell gestured vaguely. Away from you. Eleanor remained silent, her eyes on Michael, trusting him to navigate this minefield. And if she refuses? Michael asked. Maxwell shrugged. Then I press this button and your little home goes up in flames, along with anyone still inside. The building is being evacuated, Michael informed him. FBI bomb squad on site. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Maxwell's face. You're bluffing. Director Reynolds, FBI counterterrorism, Michael said. Want to speak with him? Maxwell's hand moved closer to the detonator. It doesn't matter. The moment they tamper with the primary devices, the secondaries activate. Blackwood's insurance policy. Michael processed this new information. Secondary devices, backups. Typical of someone with Blackwood's background. He needed more time. Tell me about Blackwood, Michael said, shifting slightly to draw Maxwell's attention away from Eleanor. What's his endgame? Oh, it can't just be revenge. Maxwell laughed bitterly. You think so small, Sullivan. Richard doesn't care about revenge. He cares about what Eleanor created. The quantum encryption program. The one the Defense Department is so excited about. Eleanor stiffened. The encryption protocol is useless without the authentication keys. Which you keep in your head, Maxwell finished. Genius-level memorization. One of your many talents. Michael understood now. Blackwood wants to sell the encryption technology. To whom, does it matter? Maxwell waved the gun dismissively. Highest bidder. Some foreign intelligence service. He gets rich, gets his revenge. I get Eleanor. Everyone wins. Except the U.S. military personnel whose communications would be compromised, Michael pointed out. Operatives who would die because their covers were blown, like my friends in Beirut. A flash of something doubt perhaps crossed Maxwell's face. That's not my concern. It should be, Michael said quietly. You were military once. Before Westbrook. Air Force intelligence wasn't it. Maxwell's jaw tightened. That was a lifetime ago. Was it because the Thomas Maxwell I researched had an exemplary record? Commendations for protecting classified information during the Gulf War. Saving lives. Stop, Maxwell warned. But Michael continued, each word calculated. Your commanding officer called you pathologically dedicated to operational security. Said you'd rather die than compromise sensitive information. Things change, Maxwell said, but his voice lacked conviction. People change, Michael agreed. But core values, the ones that define us, those stay. Deep down, you know what Blackwood is doing is wrong. Don't pretend to know me, Sullivan. I know soldiers, Michael said simply. I know what it means to serve, to protect. The oath we took doesn't expire with our service. Eleanor watched this exchange with dawning understanding. Michael wasn't just stalling, he was reaching for the man Maxwell had been before obsession and jealousy warped him. Thomas, she said gently, it's not too late to stop this. To was the man I respected all those years. Maxwell's hand trembled slightly. You never saw me, not really. I saw a dedicated security professional. Someone who helped build something important, but not someone you could love. Eleanor's expression softened. We don't choose who we love, Thomas. It just happens. Maxwell's phone buzzed, breaking the moment. He checked it, his face hardening. Time's up. Blackwood is getting impatient. Where is he? Michael asked again. Nearby, watching, waiting for the authentication keys. Michael's mind raced. If Blackwood was nearby monitoring the situation, then he must have a vantage point with visual access to the executive floor, the building across the street where the sniper had been positioned. The authentication keys, Michael said to Eleanor. They're not just memorized, are they? There's a physical backup. Eleanor's expression remained neutral, but her eyes confirmed his suspicion. Smart, Maxwell said. Figured that out, did you? Yes, there's a physical backup in Eleanor's private safe, which is why she's coming with me. Michael's earpiece crackled. Reynolds' voice tense but controlled. Bomb Squad has identified the secondary devices, working on a solution. Need 10 more minutes. 10 minutes they didn't have. Michael needed to end this now. Thomas, he said carefully, Blackwood is using you. Once he has the encryption keys, you become a liability, a loose end. He needs me, Maxwell insisted, but doubt had crept into his voice. For what to escape with Eleanor, you really think he's arranged safe passage for 3 people? He gave me his word, and you trust the word of a man who's willing to sell out his country, who's planted bombs in an apartment building full of civilians. Maxwell's resolve visibly wavered. The gun lowered slightly. What if, Michael suggested, we cut Blackwood out of the equation, Me, Eleanor, we resolve this ourselves. How? Maxwell asked suspiciously. You want Eleanor to choose. Let her. Freely. No coercion, no threats. If she chooses you, I walk away. For good. Eleanor's eyes widened, but she quickly masked her surprise. Maxwell considered this. And if she chooses you, then you do the right thing. Disable the bombs, turn yourself in. I'll testify that you cooperated, that you saved lives in the end. You expect me to believe that after everything? I expect you to remember who you were before all this, a man who protected people. Maxwell fell silent, internal conflict evident in his expression. The moment stretched taut with possibility. Then slowly he placed the gun on the desk. Eleanor, he said quietly, it's your choice, him or me. Eleanor stood, her movements deliberate. She looked between the two men, the obsessed former colleague who had been willing to kill for her and the wounded soldier who had risked everything to save her. I choose family, she said simply. I choose love. I choose Michael. Maxwell closed his eyes briefly, pain washing across his features. I knew you would. I just needed to hear it. He reached for the detonator. Michael tensed, ready to move. Wait, Maxwell said, raising his free hand. I'm disabling it. He pressed a sequence of buttons. The small light on the device turned from red to green. It's done. The primary devices are deactivated. And the secondaries, Michael pressed. I don't control those. Blackwood does. From his position across the street, Michael's earpiece came to life again. Reynolds, we've got a potential location on Blackwood, 6th floor Meridian building. Thermal imaging shows one heat signature in an empty office suite. He's monitoring us, Michael said to Maxwell. Help the eye on him. Maxwell gestured toward Eleanor's computer. Remote access to the security cameras. My old access codes still work. He can see and hear everything in this room. Michael moved to the computer, keeping his actions casual. He typed quickly, bringing up the building's security camera system. Then in a swift motion, he yanked the network cable from the wall. What are you doing? Maxwell demanded. Cutting off his eyes and ears, Michael explained. Buying us time. But it might already be too late. If Blackwood had been watching, he would have seen Maxwell's surrender, seen the detonator deactivated. He would know his plan was falling apart. The phone on Eleanor's desk rang. She answered cautiously, putting it on speaker. Hello, Eleanor. Blackwood's voice smooth and controlled. I see Thomas has had a change of heart. Disappointing, but not unexpected. It's over, Richard, Eleanor said firmly. The FBI has the building surrounded. The bombs are disabled. The primary devices, yes, but as Thomas surely told you, there are secondaries. On a separate trigger. My trigger. Michael leaned toward the phone. Blackwood, listen to me. The building is evacuated. There's no leverage left. Oh, I think there is, Lieutenant Sullivan. Did you really believe I wouldn't have contingencies, that I'd trust everything to Maxwell's emotional stability? Blackwood chuckled. Check your phone. I sent you a little video feed you might find interesting. With dread building, Michael pulled out his phone. A video link had arrived moments ago. He opened it and his blood ran cold. Lily, in Dr. Chen's car, being followed. As you can see, Blackwood continued, your daughter's escort has been compromised. My associate is following at a discreet distance. One word from me and well, Michael's voice was deadly calm. If anything happens to her, that depends entirely on Eleanor, Blackwood interrupted. The authentication keys, the full encryption protocol, delivered to me personally, or your precious family reunion never happens. Eleanor moved to Michael's side, her face pale but determined as she viewed the video. Where and when? The Cambridge Bridge, 30 minutes. Come alone. No FBI, no tactical teams. Just you, Eleanor. And if I do this, you'll let Lily go and disable the remaining explosives. You have my word, Blackwood said smoothly. Professional courtesy. The call ended. Michael was already moving, retrieving his earpiece that he'd removed during the confrontation with Maxwell. Reynolds, he said urgently, Blackwood has eyes on Lily. Compromised escort. Need immediate intervention. Reynolds' response was immediate. Sending teams now. Location. Michael forwarded the video feed. Heading toward Cambridge based on the road. Dr. Chen's vehicle, silver Toyota Camry. While Michael coordinated with Reynolds, Eleanor turned to Maxwell, who sat slumped in her chair. The fight gone out of him. Thomas, she said quietly, help us. Please, for Lily's sake. Maxwell looked up, his expression haunted. What can I do? Blackwood has outmaneuvered all of us. You know him, worked with him. What's his real play here? Maxwell considered this. The encryption protocol is valuable, yes, but Richard's vendetta against you is personal. He blames you for his prison time, his reputation. The technology is just a bonus. So he wants to hurt me, through Michael and Lily. Yes, Maxwell admitted. He talked about it, making you watch as everything you care about is destroyed. Eleanor's expression hardened. Then we use that against him. She turned to Michael, who had finished his call with Reynolds. We need to split up. I'll meet Blackwood as arranged. You focus on finding Lily. Absolutely not, Michael said flatly. He'll kill you once he has what he wants. No, he won't, Eleanor countered, because what he really wants is for me to suffer. He needs me alive for that. It's too risky. It's our only play. Divide his attention, his resources. Michael knew she was right, tactically speaking. But the thought of Eleanor facing Blackwood alone was unbearable. There has to be another way. There isn't, she insisted. Reynolds' team might not reach Lily in time. We need to control the situation, not react to it. Maxwell spoke up unexpectedly. She's right, Sullivan. Blackwood expects you to go after Lily, expects Eleanor to sacrifice herself. Use that predictability against him. Michael studied Maxwell with new assessment. What are you suggesting? A third option, Maxwell said, something of his old strategic thinking resurfacing. One Blackwood won't see coming. 30 minutes later, Eleanor stood alone on Cambridge Bridge, the wind whipping her copper hair as she watched the approaching figure of Richard Blackwood. He walked with the confident stride of a man who believed he'd already won. Eleanor, he greeted her as if they were meeting for a business lunch. Right on time, always the professional. Let's get this over with, Richard, she replied coldly. I have what you want. She held up a small metallic device, a secure drive containing the authentication keys for the quantum encryption protocol. Blackwood reached for it, but she pulled it back. Not yet. First, I want confirmation that Lily Sullivan is safe and the secondary explosives are disabled. Blackwood smiled thinly. You're hardly in a position to make demands. I'm the only one who can unlock this drive, Eleanor said evenly. Even with the physical keys, you need the activation sequence, which I will only provide when I know Lily is safe. Very well. Blackwood produced a phone, made a call. Status report. He listened, then turned the phone so Eleanor could hear. A man's voice, target vehicle still in sight. Proceeding as planned. Satisfied? Blackwood asked, ending the call. The girl lives as long as you cooperate. And the explosives? Disabled once the transaction is complete. He extended his hand. The drive. Eleanor hesitated, then placed it in his palm. The activation sequence is biometric. My fingerprint plus a verbal passphrase. Blackwood's eyes narrowed suspiciously. That wasn't the arrangement. It's non-negotiable. The system requires my direct authentication. After a moment's consideration, Blackwood nodded. Proceed. Eleanor placed her thumb on the drive's small scanner, then spoke clearly. Activate Protocol Eisenhower. The drive hummed to life, a small light turning green. Blackwood smiled triumphantly. Wise choice, Eleanor, he said, pocketing the device. Your cooperation will be noted. Now release Lily and disable the explosives, Eleanor demanded. Of course. Blackwood made another call. Change of plans. Bring the package to the secondary location and activate the final contingency. Eleanor's blood ran cold. We had a deal. Did you really expect me to honor it? Blackwood laughed. You testified against me, Eleanor. Cost me 3 years of my life. My reputation. Everything I built. You committed fraud, Richard. Stole from our clients. I did what was right. And now you'll pay the price. He produced a gun from his jacket. Come along, Eleanor. We have a family reunion to attend. Meanwhile, across town, Michael crouched in the shadows near an abandoned warehouse, Blackwood's secondary location. His wounded shoulder throbbed, but adrenaline kept the pain at bay. Morrison and Reynolds coordinated FBI tactical teams positioned strategically around the perimeter. Any sign of the target vehicle? Michael asked through his comm. Negative, Reynolds replied, but we've identified Blackwood's associate tailing Duchenne. Teams moving to intercept. Michael checked his watch. Eleanor would be meeting Blackwood now, buying time with the decoy drive Maxwell had helped them prepare. The plan was risky, deliberately so. Blackwood expected them to prioritize either Lily or the explosives, not both. By appearing to follow his script, they created an opportunity to control the battlefield. Movement at the east entrance, Morrison reported. 2 vehicles approaching. Michael tensed, watching through his tactical scope. The first car he recognized as belonging to Blackwood. The second was unfamiliar, likely containing his accomplice and potentially Lily. Hold positions, Michael instructed. Wait for visual confirmation of the hostages. The cars stopped. Blackwood emerged from the first vehicle, leading Eleanor at gunpoint. From the second car, a man dragged a struggling figure, but it wasn't Lily. It was Thomas Maxwell. "What the hell?" Michael muttered, adjusting his scope for a better view. Through his earpiece, Reynolds sounded equally confused. "Maxwell, where's the girl?" Michael's mind raced. This wasn't part of the plan. Maxwell was supposed to be in FBI custody at Westbrook headquarters, helping them track Blackwood's communications. "Sullivan!" Morrison's voice was urgent. "Look at Maxwell's jacket, left side." Michael focused his scope. They're barely visible beneath Maxwell's suit jacket wires. An explosive vest. Blackwood's using Maxwell as leverage, Michael realized. Or a distraction. Reynolds' voice cut in. "Update on the girl. Chen evaded the tail. They're secure at an FBI safe house. Repeat. The girl is safe." Relief flooded Michael, quickly replaced by new concern. If Lily was safe, why bring Maxwell here? What was Blackwood's endgame? The answer came in the form of a phone call. Michael's cell phone vibrated with an unknown number. "Sullivan." Blackwood's voice was calm, controlled. "I know you're watching. I have Eleanor, as you can see, and your friend Maxwell, who so helpfully tried to double-cross me. Both rigged with enough explosives to leave nothing but memories." Michael maintained his position, keeping his voice steady. "What do you want, Blackwood?" "A simple exchange. You for them. The legendary Lieutenant Sullivan surrenders himself to me, and I let these 2 walk away." "And why would I trust you?" Blackwood chuckled. "You wouldn't. That's what makes this interesting. But consider your options carefully. Your daughter is safe. Yes, I know the FBI intercepted my associate. A contingency I anticipated. But Eleanor and Maxwell aren't. You have 3 minutes to decide. After that, I detonate Maxwell's vest as a demonstration of my seriousness." The call ended. Michael turned to Morrison, who had moved to his position. "It's a trap," the older man said flatly. "Obviously," Michael agreed. "But what's his real play? He must know he's surrounded." "Suicide mission," Morrison suggested. "Take as many of us with him as possible." Michael shook his head. "Not Blackwood's style. He's a survivor." Michael studied the warehouse through his scope again. Something about the building's layout nagged at him. The positioning of the vehicles. The way Blackwood held Eleanor slightly apart from Maxwell. "Reynolds," he called through the comm. "Was this warehouse searched?" "Cleared it myself an hour ago," Reynolds confirmed. "Standard procedure for potential hostage situations." "Check again. Underground access points, basement levels, utility tunnels." There was a pause then. "Son of a bitch. There's an old maintenance tunnel running beneath the east side. Connects to the storm drainage system. Could provide an escape route." "That's his play," Michael said with certainty. "He's creating a diversion. The explosives, the hostages, it's all to cover his escape with the encryption protocol." "What's your move, Lieutenant?" Morrison asked. Michael made his decision. "I'm going in, alone as requested. Reynolds position teams to secure that tunnel exit. Morrison, be ready to extract the hostages on my signal." "That shoulder's going to slow you down," Morrison reminded him. "Then I'll just have to be smarter," Michael replied, checking his weapon. "On my mark." Michael emerged from cover, walking slowly toward the warehouse with his hands raised. Blackwood watched his approach with a satisfied smile. "Sullivan," he called. "Right on time. Always the hero." "Let them go, Blackwood," Michael demanded, stopping 20 feet away. "Your quarrel is with me." "My quarrel is with all of you," Blackwood corrected, "but especially Eleanor. She betrayed me, cost me everything." "You betrayed yourself," Eleanor said firmly, despite the gun at her back. "You chose greed over integrity." Blackwood pressed the gun harder against her spine. "Always so righteous, so certain of your moral superiority." "Enough," Michael interrupted. "I'm here. Let them go." "Drop your weapon first," Blackwood instructed. Then we'll talk terms. Michael slowly placed his gun on the ground. Now release Maxwell. He's not part of this. Blackwood considered, then nodded. Fair enough. Thomas has served his purpose. He pressed a button on a remote control. The lights on Maxwell's vest went dark. The vest is deactivated. You can go, Thomas. Maxwell stood frozen, uncertain. Eleanor. Go, she said firmly. Please. Maxwell moved cautiously toward Michael, his face haggard with guilt and fear. As he passed, he whispered, southeast corner, tunnel entrance behind the electrical panel. Michael gave a nearly imperceptible nod. His suspicions confirmed. Once Maxwell was clear, Michael addressed Blackwood again. Now, Eleanor. I think not, Blackwood replied. She stays with me, insurance for my safe passage. There is no safe passage, Richard, Eleanor said coldly. The FBI has the building surrounded. The encryption protocol is useless. The drive I gave you contains a virus that will trigger alarms in every intelligence agency monitoring the dark web. Blackwood's composure slipped momentarily. You're bluffing. I might try to access the data. See what happens. Doubt flickered across Blackwood's face, quickly replaced by rage. It doesn't matter. I still have you, and that's enough to ensure my escape. He began backing toward the warehouse entrance, dragging Eleanor with him. Michael tensed, ready to move. The timing had to be perfect. Reynolds, he subvocalized into his comm. Status on the tunnel exit. Teams in position, came the quiet reply. Waiting for your signal. Michael took a step forward. It's over, Blackwood. There's nowhere to go. There's always somewhere to go for men like me, Blackwood replied, reaching the warehouse door. Men who plan for every contingency. As Blackwood crossed the threshold, Michael made his move. He dropped to the ground, retrieving his weapon in one fluid motion, despite his injured shoulder. Now, he shouted into his comm. Several things happened simultaneously. The FBI tactical teams surged forward. Morrison and his veterans moved to secure Maxwell. And inside the warehouse, precisely placed flashbang grenades detonated, filling the space with blinding light and disorienting sound. In the chaos, Eleanor wrenched herself from Blackwood's grip, dropping to the floor as she'd been instructed. Michael advanced through the doorway, weapon raised, moving through the smoke with the confidence of a man who had memorized every inch of the terrain. He found Blackwood stumbling toward the southeast corner, the electrical panel already open to reveal the tunnel entrance. Before Blackwood could reach it, Michael was there, weapon leveled at his chest. It's over, Michael said quietly. Blackwood froze, then slowly raised his hands. You won't shoot me, Sullivan. Not in cold blood. Not with your daughter watching. Michael's expression remained impassive. My daughter isn't here, and this isn't cold blood. This is justice for the lives you were willing to sacrifice. For threatening my family. Blackwood's eyes darted around, seeking escape. Finding none, desperation replaced calculation. His hand moved suddenly, reaching for a concealed weapon. Michael fired, one shot precise and controlled. Blackwood collapsed, the gun falling from his hand, unfired. Michael, Eleanor's voice cut through the smoke as she appeared beside him. Are you hurt? He asked quickly, checking her for injuries. I'm fine, she assured him, her eyes going to his shoulder where fresh blood stained his bandage. But you're not. Flesh wound, he dismissed, though the pain was intensifying now that the adrenaline was ebbing. Is it really over? Reynolds approached, confirming what they already knew. Blackwood's dead. Maxwell is in custody, cooperating fully. The secondary explosives at Pinewood have been disabled. We have complete containment. And Lily, Eleanor asked anxiously. Safe at the FBI field office, Reynolds assured them, asking for her dad and I quote, her Eleanor. Michael's legs suddenly felt unsteady. The last reserves of his strength depleted, he leaned against the wall. Eleanor was there, immediately supporting him. Hospital, she said firmly. Now. For once, he didn't argue. Hours later, Michael awoke in a private hospital room. His shoulder had been properly treated, the bullet wound cleaned and sutured. The soft beeping of monitors and the gentle pressure of an IV in his arm reminded him where he was. But it was the weight against his uninjured side that truly oriented him. Lily curled against him on the hospital bed, sound asleep. And beside them in a chair pulled close to the bed, Eleanor watched over them both. Hey, he said softly, his voice rough from the anesthesia. Hey yourself, she replied, leaning forward to touch his face gently. Welcome back. How long was I out? About 6 hours. The doctor said you were exhausted beyond the injury. When was the last time you actually slept? Michael considered this. Before the 4th of July, maybe. That was 2 weeks ago, Eleanor chided. No wonder you collapsed. Tactical rest break, he corrected with a small smile. How's Lily? Fever's gone. She refused to leave your side. The nurses made an exception to the rules. Michael stroked his daughter's hair, overwhelmed with gratitude that she was safe. And Maxwell confessed to everything. He's facing charges, but his cooperation will be considered during sentencing. Eleanor paused. He asked about you, wanted to know if you were all right. He helped save Lily, Michael acknowledged. Whatever else he did, I won't forget that. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the rhythmic beeping of the monitors a reassuring backdrop. What happens now? Eleanor finally asked. Now, Michael considered. Now we go home, all of us, together. Just like that. Just like that, he confirmed. Unless you've reconsidered having a broken soldier and his daughter move in permanently. Eleanor's smile was radiant. Never. You're stuck with me, Sullivan. Both of you. Lily stirred against him, blinking sleepily. Daddy, are you better now? Much better, sweetheart, he assured her. She sat up carefully, avoiding his injured shoulder. Eleanor kept her promise. She said you'd both come back, and you did. We'll always come back to you, Lily, Eleanor said, moving to sit on the edge of the bed. That's what family does. Lily nodded solemnly. I know, because family is the strongest space station there is. 1 year later, Lily Sullivan's 8th birthday party transformed Eleanor's once sterile penthouse into a celebration of color and laughter. Children from Lily's class explored in wonder, their excited voices echoing through spaces once filled only with the hum of electronics and the whisper of Eleanor's solitary footsteps. The Second Chance initiative had expanded nationally, now operating in 12 cities, providing career pathways for hundreds of veterans. Lieutenant Colonel Morrison, now officially part of the Westbrook executive team, supervised the program's growth with the same dedication he'd once given to military operations. Sarah Turner, fully recovered from the evacuation drama, had become Lily's honorary grandmother, her apartment renovated as part of the Pinewood Rehabilitation Project that had transformed the once declining building into a model community. In the kitchen, Eleanor arranged candles on a homemade cake, her third attempt after 2 spectacular failures. Michael wrapped his arms around her from behind, watching her meticulous placement of each candle. Not bad for a CEO who couldn't boil water a year ago, he murmured against her ear. She leaned back against him. I had a good teacher. Lily, of course. Lily, Eleanor agreed with a laugh. You still burn toast. Michael's chuckle rumbled against her back. Their easy intimacy carried into the living room where Lily opened presents with her friends. The pile of gifts testified to the connections they'd formed not just with each other, but with a community that had gradually embraced them. When she reached Eleanor's gift, Lily gasped. Adoption papers carefully framed alongside a photo of the 3 of them from a camping trip months earlier. So you can be my official mom, Lily explained to curious friends, her matter-of-fact tone belying the months of legal work Eleanor had navigated. But she already was anyway. Later, after guests departed, the 3 sat on the balcony, watching the sunset paint the Boston skyline in gold and crimson. Lily nestled between them, half asleep, despite her protest that she wasn't tired. I never thought I'd have this again, Michael said quietly, his voice barely audible above the distant city sounds. Eleanor touched the simple engagement ring on her finger. Not the ostentatious diamond her board might have expected, but a band Michael had designed himself, incorporating metal from his military tags and a small stone from Kate's original ring with Lily's blessing. I never thought I'd have it at all, she admitted. Lily stirred. Tell the story again, about how you met. Eleanor smiled. Which version, the official one or the true one? The true one, where Dad was a superhero in disguise. Michael chuckled. I wasn't a superhero, honey. You saved Eleanor from the bad guys. And then, Lily prompted, and then Eleanor continued. Your dad and you saved me from something much worse. Lily yawned. What? Believing that success meant being alone. That power meant not needing anyone. Eleanor brushed Lily's hair gently. You taught me that real strength comes from connection, not isolation. As Lily drifted to sleep, Michael and Eleanor shared a look of profound understanding. They had both been transformed. He from the invisible man to someone who stood proudly in his truth. She from the untouchable CEO to someone who embraced vulnerability as courage. In the fading light, their makeshift family represented something neither could have imagined a year earlier. A second chance neither believed they deserved. The path hadn't been smooth. Merging their worlds had challenged them both. Michael sometimes still woke from nightmares of his military past. Eleanor occasionally retreated behind emotional walls when stress mounted. But they'd learned to navigate these moments together stronger for their shared understanding. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," Michael whispered to his sleeping daughter. Eleanor took his hand, completing their circle. "Happy new beginning to us all." Below them, the city continued its relentless pace. But here in this moment, three once broken lives had found wholeness together, proving that sometimes being saved is just the beginning of the story. In the silence after storms, we measure what remains. A wounded soldier found purpose beyond the battlefield. A guarded CEO discovered strength in vulnerability. A child's wisdom taught them both that family isn't what you're born into, but what you build together brick by painful brick. The cost was high, blood-spilled trust, shattered demons confronted. Michael's scars, both visible and hidden, may never fully heal. Eleanor's walls, constructed over decades of solitude, still rise instinctively in moments of fear. Yet in their brokenness, they found completion. The penthouse that once echoed with emptiness now resonates with Lily's laughter. Veterans who believed themselves forgotten have reclaimed their worth. Even Sarah Turner, who watched her herald fade away, has found new purpose as the keeper of stories for a new generation. Perhaps that's the true measure of healing, not the absence of pain, but its transformation into something that connects rather than isolates. The ability to stand in the gathering darkness and still recognize the light. When night falls and old ghosts whisper, what saves us isn't perfection or power, but the hand that reaches for ours across the darkness, promising simply, "You are not alone."